Our entire cellular network is made with Chinese technology. Cameras are tip of what China has access to. Okay, so this is regarding a video that I put up, it was less than a month ago, about how I have the proof because of the 7 telecom firms that Trump had blacklisted, and how Northwestern, the week of lockdowns, had put in these facial recognition cameras. And then people are getting in saying there's cameras everywhere, your phones have I get it. If they had just put these in, then I would think nothing of it. But when I looked them up, they were one of the blacklisted companies. Not everything that comes out of China is blacklisted. It's not. So like I had responded to somebody that worked at a hospital, I believe in California or somewhere not too long ago. And I looked up the kind of cameras that the thermal cameras they had put in, because they had done the same thing. They weren't a company that was blacklisted. So even though it's a total violation of rights, nobody wants all this being under constant surveillance shit. We have been, because of the cell phones, obviously. I mean, the greatest trick, it's the reason Obama gave every homeless person a smartphone. It wasn't because he was doing that out of the caringness of his heart, please. But it's the fact that in the case of Northwestern, and I'm sure these blacklisted ones were in other places, but they were blacklisted. Trump didn't blacklist every Chinese telecom company. It was just 7. There was just 7 of them. So that's the key here. I mean, yeah, your phones, they can track us. We know all the stuff that they can do now. They used it as the greatest ploy to get people addicted to their phones, and then you can't live without it. And yeah, and it's just been a total disaster. But it doesn't mean that everything on your phone goes back to China. Now, that depends. I mean, I don't think China, if you want to think that China is the #1 enemy here, no way. No way. It's Americans that are the #1 enemy, unfortunately. Because again, it's just a common sense thing here. If Northwestern was patriotic, if they cared about our Constitution, which I mean, I don't even know any CEOs that do. I'm sure that there's some in some leadership company somewhere, but most are just obsessed with money, which is part of the problem biblically too, because the Bible said that money is the root of all evil because of what it'll do to you if you make it your #1 obsession. So this is about the ones that Trump blacklisted. I got the serial numbers off of those cameras only because I wanted to see if they were one of the companies. If they hadn't been one of the companies, I wouldn't have reported them, because, you know, I mean, employers nowadays, they can violate your rights left and right, all in the name of whatever bullshit reason they want to make an excuse for. I mean, currently where I work, it's ridiculous, the amount of cameras. I mean, you might as well just make people wear a helmet with a camera in front of you the whole time. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just, I guess your employers can invade your privacy whenever they want, but then that's what Facebook was used for. I mean, it didn't alarm anyone when every employer decided to get on Facebook. I mean, I was well off of there by that time, but when you saw every company, every organization, every hospital system, every nursing, when everything in the United States get on Facebook, you knew something was up and nothing good was going to come of it. And how many people have lost their jobs because of something they posted on their own timeline, on their own time to Facebook because their employer didn't like it. So the employers have gotten way out of control. You know, I had mentioned yesterday, about Eric Weinstein, and, you know, he's a Harvard graduate, and he was saying that and he puts everybody in this category, and he's so wrong about this, but he's like, well, everybody wants to get a piece of the pie, and so everybody just works to get ahead and get a piece of that, you know, wealth pie. And I'm thinking, not everybody is obsessed with money the way Harvard graduates seem to be. I mean, yes, would more money be nice? Yeah, but most of us aren't looking to be millionaires. I think most Americans would just rather live a comfortable life, one where you're not worrying constantly, paycheck to paycheck, if you're going to make your payments. I think that's the difference. But he seems to think everybody, and maybe that's what the universities produce, and that's why so many people that work in the universities and that graduate from the universities end up becoming so morally bankrupt, is because it becomes everything about money. It becomes what letters you have after your name. It becomes this bullshit that doesn't mean anything, yet the people that have all these letters after their name think that it means something because, well, I took this class and I took that and this. Yeah, and most of those people do not have a more, they will sooner give in to doing the most morally bankrupt shit all for a paycheck. So that's what's wrong. That's ultimately what this all comes down to. If you really, I mean, yes, these people hate America, that's for sure. But I would say even more than that, they hate themselves. They hate themselves. That's why the universities are no good for people. They're not. They're not. Everything comes about your status and money and what secret society or club or sorority you're in and how important and special you are because you have earned this degree and that degree, and it's everything that life is not about. But it creates this whole identity of sickness in these people. I mean, we have a lot of identity sickness going on right now. People not knowing what their identity is, people identifying with their money, people identifying with their what leadership role they're in, identifying with their organization. It's like, yeah, and people just missing the point that at the end of the day, you should be identified with God. That's the true leader there. People can laugh at that, but it's the truth, because all the sickness happening right now is a sickness of creating by man. And I mean from the mental sickness going on with the whole like changing genders everywhere, and that has become this contagion in school, to everybody has to be higher educated, has become a sickness in and of itself. Which creates a path where it's no longer about just doing the right thing. It's about following some fucking algorithm or some stupid thing that some higher educated person came up with, who doesn't ever think more on any moral lines or on any ethical lines, but they tell themselves they do. So not everything that China makes, I mean, not everything is somehow a danger to us. Because otherwise, I mean, then Trump would have blacklisted anything being, brought in here from China. He didn't do that. I mean, he had put tariffs on them because he wanted them to stop getting oil from Iran, because he did not want any. The way he avoided any wars, unlike Joe Biden, who's got the whole world blowing up because of our leadership in Joe Biden, but he was strangling Iran by them not getting any money. So when China was buying oil from them, then that gives them money. So Trump said, if you're going to keep doing that, then I'm going to tariff the hell out of you. You won't be able to do any business in America. So they stopped, which then stopped the money flow into Iran, because the last thing anybody in the world should want is Iran to get a nuke. I mean, that's just not a danger to Israel. That's a danger, and I don't mean the innocent people in Iran. They're under a horrific government, basically just terrorists. But that's the way you handle things. You cut the money spigot off so that the countries that don't have good intentions can't make nuclear weapons. But everybody with the higher education seems to support the most sickest stuff. So ultimately, it's not about China. It's about the sickness in each and every person, and the people that, in my opinion, and I can't imagine most people would disagree. I guess a ton of higher educated would, But I think the biggest identity disease we have is those that are being persuaded and manipulated by others, especially children that are being manipulated by others to question their identity. And then we have the higher education people and the professors and everything, and CEOs who identify with money, who identify with everything that's not important, which is why they all stand with terrorist organizations and terrorist countries.